Hey everyone, welcome to another video. Now today we're doing Pro Player Insight Episode 2, and we're going to hone in on Damwon Gaming ShowMaker. Now, this guy is an absolute animal. He's personally one of my favorite mid laners to watch, and I actually get really inspired by this guy. Now, the difference between someone like ShowMaker and someone like Faker, for example, is that the intensity and how much of an emphasis this guy puts on consistently placing top 10 in solo queue is absolutely inspiring. Like, I find that really amazing. No matter what time within the season, whether he's at the start of the season, in off season, during the middle of the season, this guy is consistently top 10, and he really focuses on that solo queue rank. Whereas someone like Faker, he's kind of got that chip on his shoulder. He's already proven that he's a great player. He kind of plays to learn champions and things like that, whereas ShowMaker plays to win games. He plays to climb and gain elo, which I think we can get a lot more from his games. And as you can see in his current OPGG, he's rank 8 at the moment, 1270 LP. And if you just look at this, man, look at his KDAs and his win rates. Like, I'm not a massive KDA and win rate player personally, but this guy, this is just unbelievable to me. He has high win rates on every single champion. His KDAs are absolutely crazy. Like, he barely dies. And given how chaotic and how fast-paced Korean solo queue is, he consistently has really solid CS numbers, which is something that I admire so much, because I've played Korean solo queue myself, and how fast-paced it is, I just don't know how he manages to do that. Now, so today I'm going to do it a little differently. We're actually going to go over 2 separate VODs, maybe like the first 15-ish minutes from each, to try and get as much information as we can, because the way I'm assuming these games play out, like they do in Korean solo queue, they all end by around 18-20 minutes. So most of the juicy information is in the first 15 minutes. And the great thing about going over these 2 specific VODs, I haven't looked over them in too much detail yet, so I'm going to be doing it for the first time going through this video, is that they're both unfavorable matchups. We're going to be looking at Ekko versus Zoe, so he's playing the Ekko, which is a pretty hard matchup. And the next one's going to be Qiyana versus Leblanc. Both melee champions into range champions. So what are we going to look for specifically? So we're going to look for, how does he actually navigate these tough matchups? What is he doing? So through his mana conservation, his wave manipulation, his warding, his jungle tracking, we're going to look for all of the fundamentals, and what is he doing specifically in relation to the fundamentals that is allowing him to win these games. And we're going to look for how he actually creates opportunities for roams, ganks, and plays, because both Ekko and Qiyana are not the best scaling champion. Like, if you get behind, or if you don't really get to make any plays, your champion can be a little underwhelming. So I'm expecting him to do some really cool things to get these roams, ganks, and plays off. And what are all the small niche details that he's actually doing that allow him to consistently win games? Now, what I've noticed in my own experience watching these guys play, it's all the small things that add up. It's not some amazing, crazy outplay that just happens at 10 minutes that win him the game. Although, yes, mechanically he's a great player. It's all of the small details. Where he bases, why does he base here? What does he do with the wave? Well, I want to make sure we're really getting into the nitty-gritty, figuring out what is he doing specifically. And now remember, guys, like, I have watched a lot of this guy's VODs specifically in the past, and he is the definition of patience and calculated. He does make it look incredibly easy, so you may be looking at this like, why can't I do this? How is he just able to win these games? Like, maybe he isn't that good. But this guy has to be good. He's consistently top 10, a ridiculously high win rates on every champion, on one of the hardest solo queue ladders in the world. So he has to be doing things that are crazy. And so don't expect any flashy plays. That is not how this guy wins games. He wins games by being extremely calculated, extremely patient, waiting for the perfect opportunity to strike. So let's get into the details. Alright guys, so diving into the first VOD of the day, this one's going to be Ekko versus Zoe. Now, I've actually got my headphones on, as you probably noticed, and you're about to type a comment, Curtis, why are you wearing headphones randomly? Well, it just helps me focus. I don't know why. I think it's because I can hear all the pings or hear all the abilities. Because I haven't watched this VOD properly before, I need to make sure I'm looking at all the details, not missing a single thing. So that's why I'm wearing headphones, guys. Now, where we're going to start, let's actually start by looking at the summoner spell choice and rune choice. Now, it is important to at least have a somewhat of a rough understanding to see where ShowMaker's coming from, because if we don't understand why he's taken these runes or summoner spell choice, it's going to be really hard for us to piece together the actions he does within the laning phase. So he actually opts in for Electrocute, Sudden Impact, Ghost Porrow, which is a little different. Usually you take Ghost Porrow when you're in a matchup where you get a lot of priority, where you could utilize those deep wards and get those deep Ghost Porrow spawning. Which is a little strange given that he is versing a Zoe. This says to me that he's probably going to be looking to use those Ghost Porrows in the lane to get that extra adaptive force, but we'll see what happens. And then secondary, Time Warp Tonic with Minion Dematerializer. Now, there's actually two ways to use Minion Dematerializer. The way I talk about it in my Ekko guide is actually using all of them on the range creeps, which allows you at level 7 to one-hit the range creeps with just 1Q. That's just one way of utilizing it. Or you can actually use them on cannon waves for tempo bases, and it allows you just to wave clear those cannon waves much easier, because Ekko isn't that good at clearing cannon waves. And you traditionally see this on champions where they really struggle to get tempo resets. You see it on champions like Malzahar. You used to see it on champions like Orianna, but it's something that kind of fell out of flavor. And then Time Warp Tonic, which is my personal favorite, especially on Ekko, because I feel like it just allows you to stay a lot healthier in lane, and the movement speed actually can really help you close that gap with your E. Get in range of your E, but more importantly, just by giving you that extra boost of resources on a specific wave can actually allow you to bully off your opponent. So it'll be interesting to see how ShowMaker utilizes that, but this is the juicy bit. ShowMaker's actually opted in for TP. Now, this is interesting. Now, I get asked a lot, do I take TP or do I take Ignite in a given matchup? Now, Ignite is only generally taken if, okay, there's a few ifs. If you feel like you can either solo kill your opponent or the enemy jungler in the first 6-7 minutes of the game, because it can allow you to snowball hardcore, or you just have a really favorable mid-jungle 2v2 where the Ignite's going to lead to a lot more pressure, which is going to allow you to just do more things on the map. Now, in this specific game, ShowMaker's probably thinking to himself, you know what? We actually lose 2v2. Nidalee has no threats. Nidalee as a champion has very little threat on Zoe. Zoe usually struggles against champions like Rek'Sai, Elise, Jarvan. Definitely not Nidalee, because it's linear. There's very little threat, very little gap closing ability. It's so easy for Zoe to just kite away or dodge the spear. And Graves, on the other hand, they just synergize very well together. A lot of control, a lot of river control, a lot of strong mid-jungle 2v2. So ShowMaker probably feels, you know what? We're not going to win the 2v2, and I'm not really going to win the 1v1. I'm just going to take TP to minimize my lane and scale into mid-game quite nicely. And it can actually be really good at generating tempo to create those opportunities. So let's keep an eye on how he actually utilizes that teleport. So diving straight in here. Minions have spawned. Let's actually get into the details. Now, a few things we actually need to keep in mind as well is how he uses DMATs and how he uses wards. Because warding has been a big question of you guys in the YouTube comments saying, Curtis, if I'm in a range versus melee matchup, how the hell do I actually use wards? Melee versus range, how the hell do I actually use wards? So we know this is going to be a really rough matchup, level 1. We got to talk about this. We have to talk about this level 1 Q. Now, I usually recommend against doing this purely because, now, I actually like getting pushed in slightly by Zoe, because if the second wave kind of crashes around here, I just feel a lot more safer. Whereas if the wave is down here or even in the middle, it's a lot harder for me to contest, because Ekko can't contest Zoe level 2 anyway. That's just my personal preference. And we'll see how this kind of pans out. But what's something we need to note here, guys? Zoe is a champion that loves to push in because that's how Zoe creates opportunities to use Q aggressively. Because if Zoe's actually getting pushed in by Ekko, it's going to be very hard for Zoe to weave those Qs in lane. So Zoe very rarely wants to get pushed in. So generally in these lanes, you'll see that Zoe, in these high elo Korean games, Zoe's will use the first few Qs on the wave to establish lane control, and then they will start using Qs on the enemy. So, ShowMaker's probably trying to combat that push from Zoe, and, you know, minimize by queuing through the entire wave and thin the wave out a little bit. But this can get you into a bit of a sticky situation because already taking a lot of damage, and the wave probably not going to be in the best spot at level 2. Oh, let's see. Okay, he actually wards. All right, interesting. Now, interesting. Okay, so this is a very interesting ward. Now, what are the main 2 options when playing melee into ranged? The first is you can actually use your ward level 1, but what do we actually see? I noticed this in high elo games that the jungler a lot of the time opts in for sweeper. When you ward level 1, it can be very obvious, and the jungler can just easily sweep this raptor ward at level 1. So, generally what they do, if they can't ward at level 1, and they know they're going to get pushed in levels like 2, 3, 4, they just sneak a ward in between the waves, which is what I sometimes say, just sneak a ward in between the waves. Now, why here? Now, Graves, if we think about Graves' jungle path, Graves is a champion that takes Machete. And the junglers that take Machete and junglers like Graves and Kindred, because of their mobility and early strength and terrain scaling, but more importantly, because they can actually take Machete, and specifically Graves is interesting because Graves can go red Raptors and then vertical jungle. Because if you take Machete, you're going to have a very easy time killing this blue buff and the Gromp. Now, this ward, I'm assuming, simultaneously is allowing him to get a ward off so he can actually start to, because he doesn't really want to sit on 2 wards with Ghost Porro. If you're taking Ghost Porro, you always want to have wards out. But I think it serves 2 purposes. I think he's also trying to protect his Nidalee from a vertical jungle because Graves is a vertical jungle path that can do a very decent vertical jungle path. So that's something to keep in mind with why he used the ward that way. But now, as you can see, like I said, if the wave's down here at level 2, Zoe's going to hit level 2 with 1 creep, and he can already just zone him off the wave completely. So this is an absolute disaster for ShowMaker. He's getting level 2, bang. He's getting completely zoned. Man, this is so rough. He actually loses... Did he lose XP? He actually loses XP as well. Oh, no, he doesn't. Lucky. Stands behind the creeps there. Quite nice. But yeah, not looking good. Like, he's already used 1 whole corrupting pot, and he's still half HP. That's how much damage he's taken. Really rough. So we can assume that Graves has either done red Krugs Raptors into topside because he hasn't done the vertical clear, or red into Raptors into topside. But Graves is generally more of like a full clear jungler. He's a tempo jungler, so you'll see him generally do a lot more camps than most junglers. But same as Nidalee in a way. So ShowMaker's just kind of just getting zoned. Really not much he can do. This is just the downside of the matchup. And you'll notice ShowMaker is very good at just like not giving the enemy kill threat. He just won't die. He's very good at just accepting he's going to lose CS. I'm just going to minimize as much as I can and wait for an opportunity for when I am strong. Now, he's used his... Was that his first? Yeah, that was his first dematerializer on the range creep. So let's keep an eye on those dematerializers. So the first one he used on the range creep. He's down quite a bit of CS, which is pretty unfortunate. But now he's got level 3, he used his W to kind of mitigate a bit of damage. He used his second dematerializer on the range creep as well. So he looks like he's going in for my strategy where you use the three dematerializers on the range creeps. Now Zoe's gone missing. Okay. Really not much he can do. He's trying to minimize. Now, the thing with Teleport and Ekko is you'll probably see that he bases around 750-ish gold. That's when you can either get Dark Seal Dorans or Dark Seal and Tier 1 boots and a pink. Either of them are really good bases. But we know Zoe's able to play like this purely because, and you can assume that Zoe's warded bot side because she just came from bot side. But more importantly, Nidalee has no threat. There's no gank threat. There's nothing they can do. And this is the downside of picking a jungle like Nidalee with Ekko. There's just no synergy. And ShowMaker also pings that this is warded as well, which is really nice. Something that a lot of these high elo players do, they ping ward locations. And if we just pan this, yeah, look, if we turn on the vision, we can actually see that this is actually warded. So ShowMaker was bang on. Hit the nail on the head. Okay, no, Graves shows top. And they look for a dive. Now, what he should be doing is counting CS. Graves has got 24. We know that you get 4 per camp. So we go 4, 8, 12, 16, 20, 24. So you know he hasn't got to one camp. So either he hasn't done something like Gromp or he hasn't done Krugs. And we can assume he has, because he's top side, he probably assume, I mean, you don't know, but more than likely hasn't done Krugs, which is not a big deal. You can just still know the amount of CSs that he's done. Whereas Nidalee's got 28, so he's done a full clear. He's done all 6 cams plus the scuttle. So there's just a little difference there. Now, what is something we know here? If you've watched my tempo video, we actually know that Nidalee has a lot of tempo on Graves. Nidalee is already based, got a full clear plus scuttle, and is based. Graves has opted in for the less of a tempo play and gone for this dive, which actually gives tempo over hardcore to this Nidalee, which is very good for this Nidalee. So Ekko should be thinking, all right, I'm going to be in an isolated 1v1 for quite a long time now, which isn't really going to change things anyway, because Nidalee isn't going to be able to relieve pressure in this lane, I don't think. Well, it looks like they failed the dive, and Graves kind of backs out. Okay. Okay, use a DMAT on a melee creep. That is so weird. I don't understand that. He's used 2 on range creeps and 1 on a melee. Either that was a misclick or he's just trolling. I don't know what the hell's going on there. Very strange to me. Oh, so he actually... Oh, wow, that's so interesting. He got spotted on the Ghost Power even though he wasn't on that ledge. It must... If he put it there, it must actually see you walking here. So he actually spotted the Zoe here, which was nice. Oh, look at that. He actually put the ward in the middle of the lane. So, guys, again, when you take Ghost Poro, this can be really good for just allowing you to get that extra adaptive force because they have to step over it. So he's trying to get that wave in. We know that Graves is most likely going to be basing after that play and heading onto his bot side. So we know Graves is going to be bot side at this point in time. So actually goes for a recall here. Is the next wave a cannon? It's not. So he... This says to me that he's probably just going to TP. There's no way he's not going to TP here. Nidalee's gone for a play. Zoe's missing. Oh, TPs. He's actually TPing on this ward. The TP animation was scuffed a bit. Okay, so, guys. Standard advantage of TP over Ignite. Zoe hasn't been able to use the Ignite in the first 5 minutes of the game. ShowMaker is able to come back with, like I said, Dark Seal, Tier 1 boots and a pink. Pretty stock standard, or Doran's this preference. Because this is high elo, I'm assuming, I mean, you know, control wards are very, very important in all elos, but specifically in these high elo games, vision is extremely important. We know that Graves is going to be bot side. So, let's actually see how ShowMaker utilizes this TP advantage. He's obviously locked somewhat Zoe in lane. He's got refreshed 3 corrupting pots, and Zoe has no way to kind of get out of lane here. So he's looking pretty good so far. He's minimized quite well. And notice here, guys, how rough his level 1, 2, 3, 4 is. But he didn't die. He didn't panic. He minimized the amount of... He maximized, sorry, the amount of CS that he got. And now he got back to lane with TP. You know, and he hasn't had to burn flash. He got a somewhat decent base. He didn't panic. A lot of people panic that they lose lane level 1 to 4. Just chill. Utilize your TP. Okay, now, this is a very important thing. See what he does. So when a player comes back off a TP, we always need to see what does he do with this room. So he walks, gets a nice little ward on the dot bush here. And notice how he puts it on the side here, because this actually allows it so you can see this. Because if you put this pink over here, it doesn't actually see a jungler. If they hug this wall, it won't see them walk into this bush. So you always want to make sure that you're putting this pink on the edge of the bush, so you can see junglers path through here. So he gets a ward, clears that one, and I'm assuming... Okay, so Zoe most likely would base, because this is a cannon wave. So Zoe would have used that time basing on a cannon wave, because... Takes a lot longer for ShowMaker to get it done. get the wave in. Now, guys, something to think about here. If ShowMaker gets this wave, and because he spent the time clearing that ward and actually putting a pink down, if he goes out of vision, the team's not going to know where he is. The team's going to panic. So let's just see what he does here. So he gets that wave in, and he just bases. Look at that. See how there's all missing pings? And there's all scared pings? Because Zoe doesn't know what this Ekko is doing. He doesn't know. She doesn't know if Ekko's roaming bot, roaming top, roaming into the jungle, or just resetting. Zoe has no idea. If we press this, say, look, if we do the vision, because he's out of vision, he's actually cleared that ward. This is why when you come back off a tempo reset, it's really good to establish control. It allows you to safely get the wave in, but more importantly, if you put the pink down, it can generate a lot of threat even though you're recalling. So he's decided to opt in for the recall. Now, this is the reason I'm assuming he's opted in for the recall is because he doesn't feel like he can make a play bot this early, given that they haven't recalled yet and he supports But more importantly, it's a set. Set is incredibly hard to dive. I mean, it's so hard to make a play. Nidalee, again, there's just not much dive threat and kill threat on this guy. And they know most likely Grace is going to be topside at this point in time because it's 5 minutes 45 by the time. Grace has most likely done his camps here and is heading onto topside. So he's gone for another tempo reset. And as well, Zoe isn't the best wave clearing champion, so ShowMaker can easily get another tempo reset. And look at that. Got another pink ward here, guys, which is beautiful. Another play's going on. Zoe's actually going to get to this play first. So look at those pings. Beautiful coming out from ShowMaker. Danger, danger. They get out. Danger, because Zoe's going to get to this fight first. So he's pinging back. Danger, danger. He's actually pinging them back. Because he can't get to that fight. I love that. Okay, so bot kill, the support, which is massive bits of information here. Really, really big. They kill him. No, he survives. Takes a bit of damage here. Still playing for the wave. Oh, actually, something to think about. Why did he put the pink on bot side and not top side? Again, yes, his Renekton got a kill, but look at the quality of the matchup. Bot was still even, so bot was very easy for him to influence. But if he pinks top side, there's no kill threat. Like, Set is literally one of the hardest champions in the game to dive purely because of the shield, and then the ult is just so annoying. So I think he knew. He knows Ekko's not good into tanks, and especially since his Set it's actually got Aftershock. It's just no way. Which is pretty standard. I don't know if that's standard. I don't know the runes for Set, but it's so hard for Ekko to influence his top matchup. So he's probably just decided, you know what? I'm going to put my pink bot side. I can still influence that side of the map. Beautiful. Got that wave. The next wave is a cannon, and it's super far away, so he has plenty of time. Graves shows top, and his jungler's top side. He leans bot side here. Uses the sweeper. Sees there's no ward. Knows that Thresh died? Dude, this is unbelievable. Dude, like this is... I don't think you guys understand how good this play is. This just... I mean, I love this stuff, man. Like... You may think this is super easy, like, oh my god, he just walked off mid and went bot and killed. The awareness required to make this play is amazing. I love it. So, think about it. He knew the next wave was a cannon. It was super far away, so Zoe takes ages to get this wave. Even though his jungler was topside and Graves were topside, so he knew that it was just going to be, he was going to be alone, but he knew that, I believe, I don't know if Ezreal had sums or not, but he knew that bot was very low. They just went for a heavy trade and killed the support. So he knew that the AD carry was going to be alone. And the beautiful thing I love about it, he'd already had his pink set up on the bot side, and he used the sweeper here to the Scry's Bloom, sorry, to make sure there were no wards, so he could easily go over and get a kill under the disguise of vision. Under the guise of vision. So beautiful play. Now this is what I'm talking about. This play may not look special to any of you guys, but it's the small intricate, the beauty of that play when you're in such a bad matchup and, you know, your lane's going really poorly. To find these opportunities, nail it, is just, I just love it so much, man. So this is another tip, guys. When you go for these roams and the AD carry's based, tell them to go mid and you just stay bot and get the farm. It's a lot more efficient because look how much closer you are to the wave. No one's missing any CS. You're just going to different lanes. So you can easily swap back. So it's way more efficient for you guys to just stay and just get the wave out. So he gets that wave. Beautiful. Recalls. What does he buy? So he ends up buying Mercs. So Mercs is very good into Zoe. It's good into Thresh as well. Interesting choice. Instead of going for the extra damage, he's opted in for a more utility, more defensive approach. But, you know, makes sense. I probably would have opted in for Revolver. Because I see squishies. I see a lot of squishies and he's got a kill. But, you know, he's gone for the more defensive, the more defensive approach here. Now, what will be interesting is to see how ShowMaker actually snowballs this lead. That's what that will fascinate me. Now, okay, so this ward, I believe, got swept, and this is or got killed, and he had to actually get another one. So we got another pink. That's not his pink right now, I believe. So he gets the wave in. Now, Ekko has a lot of wave clear at this point in time. It'd be interesting to see if he plays for controlled topside for like a rift, or they play for dragons, or he just re-ganks the side that he ganked. Generally, if you've identified that your bot lane's winning like this, you want to continue to punish that bot lane. It's a lot easier than killing this set, that's for sure. Okay, so he puts a pink there, which makes a lot of sense, and then a ward up here, okay? So this ward is really good if this one is already pinked, but now he knows this is already pinked, so he's got the double pink, so they have no idea where he is and where he's rotating to. And I really like this ward up here. Again, it's just going to give him a really nice side to lean to. Although, I personally prefer this over here. Just to get a little more information on pathing, but just a little bit of preference there. Gets the wave in. Zoe's playing very aggressive. Gets the shield down. He's taking a lot of damage. Fast forward, it gets handed over blue. So it looks like there's basically a trading of the map at the moment. Like, this blue team over here is playing for topside, they're playing for rift, and the red team over here, they're just playing for bot. So they kill the Ezreal. Zoe's got a bit of a move here. They're on rift. Go for a trade. Oh yeah. I love it. Beautiful. That's just really good awareness. He knew he stepped out of bounds. He's definitely going to be looking to base soon. How much gold is he on? 800? Does he stay or no? I'm assuming he stays here because his jungler's on Dragon and he wants to ensure that he just has a bit of control. Canyons is bullying him off the wave. Does he get the cannon? Ooh, ooh, ooh. Oh, you missed it. That's so annoying when junglers push you off the wave. Alright, so he's gone back. Holy crap, Thresh is... Okay, this is so annoying when junglers do that. I mean, supports do that. They walk in to stop your base and ward the middle of your lane so they know which side you lean on. It's so frustrating. These are all the little things the supports do at high elo. When I played in high elo in Korea, like, the supports are absolute menaces. They just are super annoying. Now, he actually ulted back mid. He got his revolver. He couldn't afford another pink. And ulted. Now, his TP's up in 45. Now, the only reason you would ulti back is if you really didn't want to give pressure because you were scared they could do something. Now, they have River Control bot. Their bot lane had just reset. We don't know where Graves is. Top is getting pushed in. His jungler's coming out of base. I mean, I'm not a big fan of the ult back to lane, personally, because I feel like ult allows you to push your limits a lot more. Either he thought it was just going to be a very slow next minute and a half before his ultimate's coming back up, and he thought it would just be predominantly just playing for lane. Or he was scared of giving Zoe push off the wave because... Did Zoe need a recall? No, or maybe he felt like Zoe could roam and dive top or dive side. This is what I call trying to lock your opponent in the lane and not give them much room. And if they roam, you can follow. So, we'll see what happens here. I don't know if I agree with that from ShowMaker. Okay, one thing if you notice, guys, with the way he's played this lane, notice how he's very rarely E'd onto the Zoe. Now, he's actually played this lane. You know, when I talk about minimizing and I talk about identifying your win condition, he's identified his win condition as, I'm not playing for the 1v1. I'm playing for the wave. I'm playing off my spikes. I'm playing to roam because we can't really kill this Zoe. He's identified that. What's fascinating is that you see a lot of Echoes is that they have like one gear. They're in a car. They have one gear and it's, I need to EQ on them. I need to go. I need to kill my opponent. Now, because he's actually opted in for teleport, it makes so much sense. He's gone for this very, like, co-op versus AI, or was it PvE? PvE, is it? PvE approach where he's not playing for the lane. He's playing for the map. He's playing for control. He's playing to prevent the Zoe from moving. He's playing for vision control. He's playing for sides. He's playing patient. Very calculated. He's never using his E aggressively, because if he uses E aggressively, Zoe's going to use her E, sorry. They're going to heavy trade, and just maybe you chunk Zoe half HP, but then he's going to get chunked half HP and might have to use ultimate in a trade, and then what advantage are you actually creating? Because again, Nidalee can't really capitalize on a low Zoe, whereas Graves can actually capitalize on a low Ekko with no ultimate. So he's really, this is something that comes with time. And what I see a lot of high elo players do in Korea is that they don't have this one way, they don't play the same matchup the same way. You can play Ekko versus Zoe so many different ways, but in this game, given the team composition, given who he's versing and stuff like that, he's had a strategy and he's implementing it. Now, this approach, or when you guys are watching this, guys, I want you to think about that. Is when you go into your own VOD review, think to yourself, did I have to just play this super fast, super heavy trading and go for solo kills? Could I have just slowed down the pace of the game, played for tempo bases like this Ekko's actually done, played for vision control and actually played to a side lane? I don't know. You know, have a think about it in your own game. I just think that this is just a beautiful way to play League of Legends, and it's a very open, a very holistic approach to the game. Because I could just see this by the way he's never using E aggressively. He's playing for the wave. He's not trying to E onto, very rarely trying to E onto Zoe. He's trying to zone Zoe off the wave so he can get the wave in, or he's trying to, you know, create a bit of space so he can move into river. Beautiful. And he's only Eing when Zoe randomly misses abilities. He's not randomly Eing in when Zoe doesn't have any, when it has all her abilities up. Okay, now, I'm not a massive fan of this ward. You've heard me a lot in a lot of my VODs criticize this ward specifically. The thing with this ward location is that I just don't feel like it changes behavior. Yes, Graves could be in there, which could prevent Ekko. I mean, it does change behavior in the sense that if Graves is in there and Zoe aggressively like flash bubbles or just R bubbles Ekko, then he can die. So maybe this is just enough, because Graves is a champion that doesn't have insane gap closer. As long as this is warded, this may give Ekko the room to get the wave in without having to respect too much. But generally, I'm not a fan of it. I just think it's a lazy ward a lot of the time. I just think warding over here on this ledge is just so much better. Like, you're just gonna have a lot more information, really. Now, when you play this matchup, guys, and one thing that ShowMaker, I'm assuming, really understands is that Zoe is a champion that needs to really get leads in the first 15 minutes of the game. As soon as the game gets around 15 minutes and Ekko gets to the side lane, Zoe can't keep up. Like, the game's done, because Zoe's wave clear turns to crap. Ekko's wave clear gets very, very good, and then once because Zoe's not very mobile in the side lane and can't really play those extended long lanes compared to Ekko, Ekko's just going to win out anyway. So I'm assuming he just really understands his win con this game. And he's on 112 CS by 11 minutes, given how much he missed. How interesting is that? He missed so much CS in those first few waves, but he's still 112 CS by 11 minutes 40. Like, that's awesome, man. That's so cool. Like, that just shows tempo and efficiency with your recalls can really allow you to get some nice CS scores. He goes for this roam here. His top lane is actually TP'd. Okay. Pretty standard roam here, nothing too special. He's just playing towards his team's location. Gets a nice little kill. Okay, look at this. Before we see anything, what do we see? In the chat, Ekko is spamming Zoe Flash, which says, this is so good, you guys can do this yourself, is that whenever someone's in a skirmish or jungler's chasing someone or someone's chasing someone, help them by giving them the information. Do they have flash or do they have heal? If you're pinging flash, it's either saying that they do have flash or they don't have flash. I think in this case he doesn't have flash. It means that he doesn't have flash. But a lot of the time you should say flash, he has flash, or ping flash timer. Like, type the flash timer. Like, it's very important to help your team make the right decision by giving them the information. He doesn't have flash, so they're able to get that kill and chase him down. There's a little thing there that can be really nice. Ekko's going for another dive here, it looks like. Okay. Oh, wow. One thing I've noticed with ShowMaker's Ekko is that he's not afraid to use flash. He flashes into the W and uses E to gap close, rather than trying to E and allowing the person to just flash out or E out of the stun. So I've noticed I don't do this often in Ekko, and something I probably need to learn and take from him is that he's not afraid to use flash to secure kills. Because a kill is so big in League of Legends. Like, if you get a kill, you know, on an AD carry like that, it can completely change the game. So I think this is one big takeaway for me already, is that how, if he, like, when going for those kills, he's not afraid to use flash. Like, I hold onto my flash so long, and then I regret it after when not getting a kill. So, well played to ShowMaker that he knew that that was going to be worth using his flash. Skirmish awareness. Now, it's 13 minutes in the game. Team's pretty far ahead at this point. He's 3-0. He's going to go back, be able to get his proto belt. He's got TP. Now, this is where the game kind of booms, because Zoe in the side lane is quite useless. And this is where Ekko just has significant advantages. So watch the next few minutes just to see how he pushes his lead. But I think we will kind of round it up soon, because he's gone through the hardest bit of the game, essentially. So he's gone back to the side lane. Zoe's just trying to catch waves. So Ekko goes just straight to the side. Now, if his team, maybe he was versing like two really fed opponents, or like a fed jungler or something like that, that could literally just kill Ekko. I don't know who it would be in this point. I don't think it's anyone in the game, given he's 3-0. Or maybe Ekko wasn't too far ahead. What I would recommend, and you'll see is that a lot of the time they go mid first, establish control, then go to the side lane. But because he's so far ahead, and they literally have zero threat on Ekko at this point of the game, he can go straight into the side lane and just generate a lot of threat. And also, the next objective is Dragon, so he wants to be getting control for this Dragon. So Zoe's trying to group. She's going to get this blue. Gets the blue. And again, Ekko's having to react to waves. Now, he wants to constantly make this Ekko react to waves in the side lane, because that's how, that's playing to your champion's strengths. I actually like how he uses his W so aggressively, so deep. He doesn't use it on the wave up here. He actually uses it all the way down there, which is kind of like sending a signal to the enemy that, like, you need to back the hell up, because I'm gonna try and dash onto you. But now at this point, you know, you're just going to be pushing sides, make Zoe react. Like, look at Zoe's wave clear compared to Ekko. It's ridiculous. And if Zoe doesn't catch these waves, then she's going to get so far behind. And now you can play push and move like this. He's just playing the push and move. Clear wards on the way through. Then they see Zoe trying to rotate. This is exactly what Ekko wants. Push and move. They see Zoe here, get a nice little blow flash. Nearly get a kill. But look, again, they're missing all their CS in bot lane. So yes, you just blow flash and you don't get a kill, but you got to take into account that they're also missing all of their CS as well. And then they get mid tower. So pretty stock standard stuff here. Push out the side, push and move, make picks in rotation. Always be on the side where the objective is spawning. And I think the game is pretty much doomed at this point. So fast forward a little bit. Goes top side to help them secure pressure for the Rift Herald. This VOD actually looks kind of over. Like, Ekko's super fed. Renekton's really strong. Nidalee's ahead. Aphelios is like 40 CS up. And Ezreal's actually 0-4. So this looks pretty stompy from this point onwards. So I'll leave this VOD here. Let's quickly actually recap over the key takeaways over this VOD before we go into the next one. So for me, one thing I loved about this VOD was that ShowMaker clearly identified that his role in this game wasn't to be a solo kill person in mid lane and play heavy trading mid, because that's only going to give Graves a lot more options, or give Zoe ways to utilize her TP advantage, sorry, her ignite advantage. So ShowMaker accepted reality. You know what? I lose 1v1, we lose 2v2, I'm going to take TP, I'm going to play for tempo bases, I'm going to play for the wave, I'm going to identify the winning side, and I'm going to find opportunities with solid vision control and solid side lane awareness to make those side lane plays and play my game. Alright, so this was a great way, and this is a concept that, I just want to quickly bring up here, is that there's a way of losing gracefully. You're not going to win every single lane matchup. ShowMaker is the master of losing gracefully. Yes, he was down at one point, 15 CS or whatever. But again, he plays off spikes. He plays patient. He doesn't compensate. He doesn't do anything special or crazy. He plays with... He's able to identify his win condition, identify his role in the team, and know what he needs to do to win the game. So this is something I admire largely with ShowMaker. And the last thing I actually really love about this VOD specifically is that he never put himself in kill threat range from Zoe. And when he was in skirmishes, he executed flawlessly. Like the way he used flash to get the stun, then use E to gap close, rather than 50-50 risking, oh, can Ezreal E out of my W or not? Like, he guarantees the stun with the flash, thinking, you know what, I only have a brief few opportunities to get kills in this game. When I do, I want to take them. And I think that's a really good mindset to have, is like, execute. You've done all the right steps. Now, when it comes down to it, now I got to execute, and he does it flawlessly. So let's actually dive onto the second VOD and see how ShowMaker does it again. All right, guys. So diving straight into the second VOD of the day, this one's going to be of ShowMaker's Qiyana versus a random challenger Leblanc. Now, what's interesting is that this is one of the hardest matchups for Qiyana for two reasons. One, Leblanc has a lot of AoE on her kit with her distortion and with her E as well. You can use it through stealth targets, but more importantly, it's a matchup where you can't really lock her down. Qiyana excels, and especially the way Qiyana usually navigates a melee versus range matchup, is that she plays off bounced waves. She is able to lock down the target with a full combo and play for those 100 to zeros. But generally, you can only do that when the target is extremely immobile. But because LeBlanc has distortion, double distort at level 6 as well, it's going to be very hard for ShowMaker to find opportunities to get kills. So it'll be interesting to see how ShowMaker navigates this matchup, and I'm really interested to see what he does specifically. Now, let's quickly talk about runes. I believe ShowMaker goes for a very standard rune page: Electrocute, Taste of Blood, Eyeball Collection, Rabbit's Hunter, Time Warp, Tonic, Biscuits. Now, the only thing that's a little bit different that I do get questions on quite often is, when would you take Taste of Blood over Sudden Impact? Now, Sudden Impact is a rune that you need to be able to reliably proc and consistently proc to make it worth it, to make it valuable. It's not the type of rune that you would take if you're only going to be proccing it every now and then, since it has such a low cooldown, which means that the stats that you get are very, very low. The amount of lethality and magic pen you get are very, very low. That's generally why you see Sudden Impact a lot on champions like Ekko that are reliably and consistently going in with E. But a champion like Qiyana, especially in a losing matchup, it's very rare that you're going to be, there's not many times where you're going to be going for an all-in play. It's going to happen like once, randomly, or every now and then. It's not reliable enough. It's not consistent enough. So a lot of pro players especially are now realizing, I just get a lot more value out of Taste of Blood. I get a lot more sustain. It helps me stay healthy in lane, and I just can proc it a lot more, so I get a lot more value out of it. So that kind of covers that. And even Leblanc this game takes Taste of Blood, even though she could, in theory, reliably proc sudden impact. That's how much value people put in, and how much of an emphasis people do put on Taste of Blood. Now, something to note here, guys, the only saving grace for ShowMaker this game is that this Leblanc is not paired with an aggressive ganking jungler. It's paired with a Nocturne. Nocturne is a champion that basically just wants to farm to level 6. We're lucky, and ShowMaker is very lucky, that it's not Leblanc Rek'Sai, Leblanc Elise, LeBlanc Lee Sin, LeBlanc Jarvan. Any of these champions that can really follow up and utilize LeBlanc's insane gank setup. So that's the only saving grace this game. So at least ShowMaker knows it's most likely going to be an isolated 1v1 for the entire early portion of this laning phase. Now, one thing I want you guys to look at in terms of micro, for the first portion of this laning phase, what I want you to look at is how well ShowMaker actually tethers LeBlanc's W. So in every matchup, there's usually one key ability that you need to focus on tethering. For LeBlanc, it's usually her W. For Syndra, it's her Q range. For Orianna, it's her Q range. There's all these different champions have differing abilities you want to tether. Now, I want you to pay attention to how well ShowMaker tethers LeBlanc's W range. Look at this. Beautiful tethering. Beautiful tethering. And in this matchup, there's really not much you can do level 1. It's very similar to the last game. Level 1, level 2, level 3, not really much you can do. You're going to get pushed in. You just got to minimize the amount of damage you're taking. And maximize the amount of CS that you're getting. Okay, really good. Proccing that Taste of Blood. Maximizing the amount of CS. Let's actually, did LeBlanc take attack speed? That's how I need to know that. No, so you notice actually at right now, most LeBlancs are taking attack speed. And a lot of mages are starting to take attack speed. I think people are realizing that in terms of trades and in terms of wave control, it gives you a lot more wave control and actually helps out with trades a lot more, because if you think about it, you can sometimes get 2 auto attacks for 1. So you got to weigh up, what damage am I getting with the extra AP versus 2 auto attacks versus 1. It's just something to think about. And I think LeBlanc really does benefit from that attack speed. So, this lets the wave crash in. Not really too much ShowMaker can do at this point in time. Now, at this point in time, at level 2, generally Qiyana has to make a decision. If Qiyana is versing a champion that doesn't have any AoE, it's very smart for her to actually get a grass Q and use that to stay invisible and help her CS. But if you're versing a champion with AoE like LeBlanc, there's really no point getting Grass Q, and it's better just to get the Earth Q, just so you can, the Earth, Wall Terrain, Earth Terrain, whatever it is, so it can just help you last hit, because obviously it helps you last hit minions, because the Q, with the Earth Terrain allows you to, do more damage to low health targets. So just something to think about in terms of if you are playing Qiyana yourself. Now, for me, what I'm looking at in this matchup is level 3. Level 3 is the level where, you know, Qiyana can actually do something, because that's when you start to level up your E. So what I'm looking at right now is, okay, when she does get level 3, how is she going to navigate the trade? So the wave's coming out. Generally, this is the window. The wave's coming out. The wave is deep in your lane. Generally, you're going to be okay to take a trade. Now, something to think about here, and I don't really even know what happens here, but in my experience, and a lot of people I've seen, a lot of high elo Qianas, what they do is, especially when you're versing LeBlanc, and even when you're playing X champion versus LeBlanc, if you just hold your abilities and wait for them to W in, it's better than you going in first. Purely because if LeBlanc goes in first with a W, and you either CC them or use your abilities, all of these minions are going to attack LeBlanc. But if I go in first, say Qiyana just rushes in with E here, then all these minions are going to attack me. So it'll be interesting to see how ShowMaker navigates this, and it's something that I want you guys to keep in mind when watching this. Gets a nice little Q there. I think he actually tries to get Grass Q. He tried to get the Grass Q here, but he missed it and he got the Earth Q. So, not good. Because usually Grass Q is better for just minimizing lane. Playing patient. Last hitting. Gets ice. Hey, beautiful. Look at that. LeBlanc W's in, then he EQs and auto attacks. Gets a really nice trade. Procs that electrocute. Tries to get a Q on the back end, but that's what I'm talking about. Look how much damage LeBlanc took from that trade because she took all that damage from the creeps. Now, this is where people go wrong in these matchups. When I see people, when I coach people, and when I play Qiyana versus range matchups, they panic. Yes, you had a bad level 1, level 2. They maybe take too much damage level 1, level 2. When they do get to level 3, they're not they either go in under the enemy person's minions, or they're not willing to take the trade when the person trades aggressively under their minions. Because a lot of the time, you will win that trade. And one thing we have to keep in mind is he hasn't used the ward yet. Okay, Ekko's coming. We need to set up a kill here. Oh, bang. And LeBlanc flashes. Wow. Okay. Ekko should help push the wave. Even though Qiyana gets a kill here, it's still a rough matchup, and it'll be hard for her to punish. So let's actually see how she snowballs or how she still navigates this lane. But she gets the farm in. Ekko helps. But I really like, even if that kill didn't happen, Qiyana was still in a really good spot. She still could have got that wave in and recalled herself because she had a built wave coming. She took a really good trade because she really knew how to navigate that level 3. Now, Qiyana actually warded here. Now, this ward isn't too valuable. Like, we know most likely Nocturne's done a top to bot clear. Now, this ward doesn't do anything because Nocturne is still going to be bot side, most likely on bot scuttle or something like that, is going to be heading back straight to Krugs. This ward, by the time Nocturne comes back onto top side around 5 minutes, this is going to be dead. This is not going to do anything. So I don't like this ward. Maybe thinking that LeBlanc was going to get that wave and lean topside, maybe disrupt this Ekko. I don't know. I think it's just a panic ward. I really don't like this ward. I'd rather just ward the middle of the lane. If you're going to do that, just ward the middle of the lane. Nocturne shows bot with 28 CS, which is a full clear plus a scuttle. Now, Qiyana actually opts in for a serrated Dirk. Now, she could have gone for Mobies, but now that after the Mobies nerf in terms of the gold amount, I actually recommend going serrated Dirk into tier 1 boots, not straight Mobies. So, we know Nocturne's bot side, most likely just recalling. Ekko's greeting for these Krugs. Takes Grass Q. Now, Grass Q is the real good. It's just the stock standard one you want to sit on in lane for minimizing and CSing. And it looks like this guy's dying. Last hitting with Grass Q. Now I got Ice. Now, what Ice Q is good in this matchup, water, whatever it is. Water element, I don't know what I call it, ice, water, whatever I call it, it's just called Ice. The great thing about this one is that when LeBlanc goes in for a W, if you can get that root off, it actually allows you to get an extra auto attack as well, to reliably proc your electrocute. Okay. Letting that wave push in, sitting on a grass queue. Warding these wards, man. These wards. I mean, this ward is... I just don't like it. This ward... What do we think, guys? What do we think is the purpose of this ward? I mean... The only thing I'm thinking here is that LeBlanc could get this wave in and move on to bot side and spot out this LeBlanc. I mean, that's the only thing I'm thinking. I really don't think this is anything to do with Nocturne. It could be a support roam. Could be a support roam because Nautilus is known to be a support that does roam a lot. Maybe he's scared of like... Maybe Qiyana wants to know... Because she's going to hit 6 soonish. She wants to make sure that Nautilus isn't looking for a roam. To go for an all-in at 6? I don't know. We'll see what happens, but I just don't... Okay, that's a really nice trade. Really nice trade there from ShowMaker, just playing super aggressive. But it's not really, it was just kind of like an even trade, to be honest with you. It was a nice trade, but it ended up being quite even on the back end. So no real advantage met there. This is just heavy trading. Now, the only reason that, okay, so what this says to me with those sorts of trades, like, you know, when I talk about trading in my videos, we talk about 100 to 0 trades, we talk about burst trades, short trades, heavy trading. Now, that was a heavy trade. Both of them were forced to use basically all their pots. They're burning a lot of their resources, a lot of heavy trading going on. Compared to last game when ShowMaker actually played the other side, played a much more defensive style where he wasn't really jumping in on the Ekko onto the Zoe at all. Was playing very much for the wave. Now, the way Qiyana operates, I'm assuming the way he's interpreting this is that, okay, well, I've got a bit of an advantage. I've got the serrated Dirk. I want to make Leblanc low enough as possible so when I do hit 6, because I am going to hit, Qiyana knows he's going to hit 6 before Leblanc because he has the XP from the kill, but more importantly, denied CS from that first kill when they shoved it in under tower. He knows he's going to get level 6 first, so he's probably thinking, you know what? I'm happy to heavy trade knowing I'm versing a Nocturne who can't really gank me anyway, and I know I'm going to hit 6 first, and I want to go for that solo kill. So that's what the way I'm interpreting this with my knowledge of the game. I could be wrong. Maybe he's just doing it because that's the only way to navigate this lane. You can't play it slow. Maybe you can only trade. That's the way to relieve pressures. You have to heavy trade. But it does make sense in theory. You get to hit 6. Beautiful onto that creep. Looks for that all in. And, oh, close. If he okay, he nearly goes to that kill, and I love that. Notice how as soon as he hit 6 off that creep, he got 6 and went for that trade and nearly went for the kill. Now, the only downside of that is he didn't wait for his ignite to be up in 30 seconds, and the LeBlanc was really good and positioned away from the wall, so ShowMaker couldn't get an angle to use the ultimate. I like the aggressive nature of ShowMaker, and it makes a lot of sense tying into how he was trading before. I mean, I promise you I had not seen this VOD up until this point before. But I'm just thinking, by the way he's trading, these players don't do things for no reason. They trade with intention. They're doing it because they're thinking in the future, the way they want to trade. They want to generate kill threat. They want to burn their pots. They know things. He's not going to trade like this thinking that he loses at 6 or he doesn't get 6 first. You know, he knows this stuff. So he goes to that trade, just spits out like solo kill, and he's probably thinking, you know what? I didn't have to use Ignite. I didn't have to use my ult or anything. I can still shove this LeBlanc out and deny her CS anyway. But now Qiyana actually sees Nocturne on the dragon. So let's actually see how Qiyana navigates this. Forces him off here. Doesn't get the wave in completely, but it's not going to freeze. It's still going to crash. Nice guy, ShowMaker. Bullying them off the dragon. So he gets a longsword and tier 1 boots. Beautiful. And a pink ward, because the first time he actually didn't have a pink ward. Now, LeBlanc's actually opted in for a cloth armor. So that's going to really help LeBlanc from surviving that all-in. Takes that grass cube because it is the good element that you want to heading into lane. It's really good for minimizing. Let's see where ShowMaker actually pinks. Okay, whenever I see the ice cubes, this seems to me that he looks to want to be training aggressively. So he gets this in. Oh, that was so clean. Just clipped with the ice cube, and then, wow. That was really nice. So it seems like his strategy is always get ice cube, try and nail them, and then take a nice little trade because it locks him in place to allow them to hit the Earth Q as well. Nice. I just love his movements. It just seems like everything he's doing is having intention. Like, this is what I love. Like, even compared to him and Doinby, you notice how the difference in the quality of the laning phase. Notice how Doinby was a player that was playing very fast, push and move, and like the way he plays the game is very dirty. ShowMaker's a lot cleaner, slower, calculated. Everything seems to make sense. This is why people do criticize Doinby's laning compared to someone like ShowMaker, and why they reliably climb. It's like, they don't do anything erratic. You know, there's nothing erratic. He's not putting himself in danger. Now, I love this, is that he doesn't know where Nocturne is. He has no idea where Nocturne is. He doesn't have enough information. So he's just playing slow here, letting Leblanc push in. And the other great thing about letting Leblanc push in here is that Leblanc's going to have to overextend, which is going to create that kill threat. So I'm assuming that's what he's also trying to do here. Alright, so Ekko's still topside. Ekko's just shown topside. So she can't... Okay, look at this. All I can see is this. I'm looking at the chat here. I see 751, Nocturne, already slightly out of range Qiyana. So this just means to me, if we actually press... I'm not going to do this too often, but I just really want to see. Yeah, Nocturne's just hovering here. So we don't know where Nocturne is, and ShowMaker doesn't know where Nocturne is. Now, what's interesting is you notice ShowMaker very rarely goes in for a crazy solo kill trade when he knows he can get ganked. He very rarely does that. He goes in before, like pre-6 Nocturne, when he knows Nocturne couldn't gank. And now that Nocturne is 6, he's not going for those crazy trades unless he knows where this Nocturne is. So looking for a top dive in the moment. They go for that play. Nocturne ends up using ult. So now I'm assuming after this Nocturne wears off, I'm assuming ShowMaker's going to play a lot more aggressive. So let's see what he does here. Bang. Ooh. Okay, nice. Okay, one thing about that trade, what he did, I actually can't go backspace because I think my client will crash, but he waited for Leblanc to W, then he did Ice Q, and then he did the Earth Q. But notice how he didn't auto attack on the back end. This is because he was actually more focused on dodging the E to the side, because he knew if he stood still for an auto attack, the chain would land and he would actually lose that trade. So he was actually he was happier with taking a trade where it was take, 25% or 20% of LeBlanc's HP for like 5% of his versus, or whatever it is, 20% versus 10% versus like 30% and 25%. So yes, he could have taken more of LeBlanc's HP, but he also would have lost a lot himself. So he actually valued the difference in the trade a lot better, rather than not proccing his electrocute, not going for that auto attack so he doesn't take that E. I just felt that was like a nice little thing there. Look at this, man. Notice how he's playing so much more aggressive as soon as Nocturne's not here, which actually just reiterates to me that before, when he wasn't playing aggressive, letting Leblanc push in, wasn't eating aggressively, he was consistently thinking about Nocturne's location. He didn't have information. He didn't have wards. He didn't know where Nocturne was. I just love that. And also, he doesn't compensate going for that kill on Leblanc, knowing that he can't kill Leblanc because she's sitting in the middle of the wave. Versus, in high elo, when people verse LeBlanc, they never stand near this walls. They never get ulted because they just stand in this nice little pocket in the middle of the wave. So really well played to LeBlanc here as well. Just getting the wave in. So he knows LeBlanc has to base. Beautiful. Comes back. He ends up getting mercs. He ends up getting mercs this game. He loves his mercs. Very defensive. But this is a lot of CC. Senna has CC. Poppy, Nocturne. They all have CC. So, I guess that makes a lot of sense. Let's see what Nocturne does. You always want to make sure you're taking Earth Q, because you can stand by the walls and get that extra movement speed. Okay, now Seekers is on LeBlanc at this point. Let's see what ShowMaker does. He knows that Nocturne definitely wouldn't have ultimate still. Takes the ice. Doesn't have any vision. He knows we're on Dragon. Okay, they know they're on Dragon. Bang. Ooh, okay. Crazy trade. I love that. Yeah. He's just so clean. He's just so clean with his combos. But he's never... I love what he does. He's always waiting for LeBlanc to W first, because she's always taking minion aggro. Like, and it actually makes it so much easier for Qiyana to land the Ice Q, because... if LeBlanc W's in, she's going to be still for a second, which allows him to instantly land the Ice Q, which always guarantees him hitting the Earth Q. So he guarantees to hit 2 Qs no matter what if he waits for LeBlanc to W first. But if he's to walk up randomly and throw an Ice Q, it's very rarely going to hit, because you're standing behind minions and things like that. So I like the way he's playing. But now LeBlanc doesn't have ult, so I'm assuming he's going to look for an aggressive trade, because LeBlanc doesn't have ult at the moment. He has a pink. Let's see where he uses it. He uses it here. Then he sees... Okay, before this, we know that his jungler's looking to invade aggressively. His bot lane is winning 2v2 and pressuring. He knows Leblanc doesn't have ultimate. He has ultimate, flash ignite, calculated, hasn't done anything crazy, waiting for that great opportunity. Again, the way I interpret Qiyana in my video was... Qiyana is like a lion in the savannah. You want to wait until the perfect opportunity arises so you don't waste your ultimate. So this is, for me, this already seems like the perfect conditions. Your jungler's got priority, moving into the enemy jungle. Your bot lane has priority, looking for a 2v2 which complements Qiyana. Walks up, a 2v2 is about to happen. Get that movement speed with the Q, bang, flash EQ. Ooh. Oh, okay. Nice. Love it. Very, very character. Now, I just love this, man. I love the way he plays. It's like every single time, it's like there's very rarely he's making a play and it doesn't work. It's because it's so well thought out. And notice before when he went for those solo kills on LeBlanc, he never used his ultimate because he knew it wouldn't kill. Right? He didn't waste his time wasting his ultimate. Now he knows he has a bit of... Okay, LeBlanc has tempo. He decides to go for the plate. I'm assuming this is because this will help him get Yomu's. Or what's the other item? Yomi's or the other one? The ward one. So he overstays here a little bit. This is risky as hell. LeBlanc's going to come, my man. Okay, LeBlanc's coming. And he gets ulted. Does he survive? No. Oh, it's really bad. Shut down on LeBlanc. LeBlanc double kill. Triple kill. Oh my god. Now, what's that? That was... I just really disagree with what he did there. So he overstayed for tempo. Like, he lost tempo. He was willing to take the loss of tempo for the plate. Maybe for an item. I'm not too sure. But the downside is that his jungler was already topside doing something. Nocturne still had ult because Nocturne didn't have ult for that skirmish. And he would have lost a lot of tempo. LeBlanc would have been able to do something regardless. And his jungler couldn't back him up. I just feel like that was a really, really greedy play. And he just completely threw his lead. Like, yes, he will still be fine in his 1v1. But he just gave away back into this game for this LeBlanc. Okay. So he gets he goes for Yomi, so he doesn't go for the warding item. What's it called again? Umbral Blade. He doesn't go for Umbral Blade. They go for a top play. Hope he survives. Okay, he's got his ice. He wants to get this wave in so it doesn't freeze. Gets the wave in. Beautiful. Leans on top side, knowing that's where his jungler is. They've been taking some heavy trades. Use Yomu's. Puts a ward down. Okay, sweet. He always... Notice that he always uses the Scry's Bloom just to check if there's any wards. Oh! Troll. He trolled. Oh, he gets the kill anyway. Okay. I just love that though. I love how decisive he was. And notice how this is very... A lot of mirrored concepts. Like... When he went for that roam in the first game of Zoe when he went to bot and he uses that Scry's Bloom to check if there's any wards. The beautiful thing about using the Scry's Bloom is that you know that you're under the guise of vision, and he knew that that person most likely would face check this tri-bush. But if he uses that Scry's Bloom and this is warded, he wouldn't go for that play. So I just really like that his usage of that trinket as well. You know what's interesting? If you notice so far, ShowMaker has not got a single plant. Compare that with Doinby's. Doinby's always in river getting plants. ShowMaker never gets plants. I don't know why. It's just the way he plays. I don't know. Maybe because he's a lot more calculated and I don't know. It's just really funny to me. How Doinby's is this very interesting, unique style that's so different to... So different. Now, this is another common trend. Whenever ShowMaker goes to gank a lane, he wants to stick in that lane and push it out because... Looks like Wukong's going for a roam. It's easier for Wukong on his way to a roam, catch the mid wave, and Qiyana to get this next hot wave. It's a lot more efficient. He's always getting the wave that's nearest to him. And this is one of the things that allows him to have such good CS in these games. Because he's not just like missing a bunch of CS. He doesn't just go somewhere and not get any wave. So then Wukong can easily just catch the mid wave. It's a lot more efficient this way. So he's 3-1. This is still a really hard Qiyana game because Qiyana doesn't do well into Poppy. Not really that well into LeBlanc anymore. And Senna Nautilus is kind of annoying to deal with as well. Okay, so Qiyana sees this play happen. He sees LeBlanc roaming, so he's going straight to the play. Knowing that... Does Qiyana have ultimate? Nah, 14 seconds. Oh. Alright, grass Q. You have ultimate. 2 seconds, 1 second he has ultimate. Oh. Dang it. Wait. How the hell Keanu got the kill? Okay. So, I mean, he goes for the play. His ultimate was just coming off cooldown. It's pretty unfortunate. I think he could have survived that if his ultimate was off cooldown the whole time. But, pretty understandable. There was a fight breaking out. He could get there. He has Yo moves. He can get there quite fast with his movement speed due to his passive. It's pretty stock standard stuff. But dies. Get that tower. Beautiful. Now he's going into the side lane. I want to see what he does this game because LeBlanc is a champion that does excel. Is also not bad in the side as well. So he's not matching this Nautilus. He's decided, okay, there's a fight breaking out. Everyone's heavy trading. I'm going to back up my team. One thing that I've seen so far in this VOD is that he's very much not hesitant to go to fights when he knows something is happening. Like, he's willing to give CS to make the play, or to be there for the play, which makes a lot of sense because he's playing Qiyana. So he gets this blue, fast forward a little bit. Gets the blue, goes to the side lane. Okay, he sees LeBlanc, he sees their 80 carry and support, so we get this wave in. Now he's coming to sees this happening. So again, push and move strategy. The same thing as the last game. Push and move, push and move. You get the wave, you get 2 waves if you can, and then get the wave in. And then roam. No one's showing here. He roamed, he already died, so he's going to go back to the side wave. And if there's nothing to do, consistently go back to the side wave, because the play's over. They killed LeBlanc, they killed Nautilus. There's no reason for him to group mid anymore. They're going to get the tower anyway. What is he doing here? Stealing camps? What is he doing? Stealing jungle camps. Okay. Interesting. I mean, he must be doing this purely because he knows he has time. He maybe he needed a little bit of gold, actually. That's why, as well. For his, Caulfield Hammer, is it? What did he buy here? Yeah, Caulfield Hammer. He needed 1100, that's why. Okay, what does he do now? So the wave's all the way deep. There's no way he's going to go to the side lane. He might as well group for a little bit here, knowing that Rift Herald's actually spawning quite soon. Let's see what he does. So he goes mid first, because there's no need to attend the wave yet. Rift Herald's up. He has no TP. What's the go here? I don't know. I don't know if I agree with this. Like, they should just be forcing this fight. Like, they just win that Rift Herald fight. This is weird to me. Okay. Sees Nautilus. Fight breaks out. Ekko is incredibly fed. Okay. Well, it seems like this is like a bit of an Ekko 1v5 at this point. Yeah. I just don't agree with what ShowMaker did there, honestly. I don't agree with his decision to go to the side lane. I feel like... Oh, the team just FF'd. What the hell? Okay. The team just FF'd. So, I'll pause it there. Okay, so I think overall this game was played very well, very calculated. My only concern was with the end. I like what he did originally was shove out the sideways, then look to push and move. And then when he realized there was no play to be made, he would go back into the side lane. I like that. But in saying that, I feel like, I mean, getting that Gromp, getting that Caulfield Hammer was completely fine, but after that, you know that Rift Herald's up. Your Qiyana, you have Ultimate, you have All Sums, you have a Fed Echo. Force the 5v5, you can win. Maybe his thought process was, why give the Senna, Nautilus, Nocturne, why give them the 5v5 when we can play like a 1-3-1 and play for sides? Maybe that was the case. Maybe he was actually trying to force Leblanc into a side lane versus him because Leblanc was actually quite far behind Qiyana at this point. Maybe. But I feel like it was maybe a little bit autopilot as well. I'm not completely sure. Alright guys, so since the team just FF'd, what we're going to do now is a quick recap of what are some of the things that ShowMaker did extremely well, and what are some of the things that we don't agree ShowMaker did, so we can get what we can from these two VODs and really understand what makes ShowMaker so consistent in solo queue. Alright guys, so let's break down the key takeaways, the positives and negatives of those two games that we watched of ShowMaker play. Now, the positives. I personally felt like those two games showed a very calculated, a very patient way of playing the game. As I always see when I watch his VODs, he's never really compensating for teammates. It just feels like every trade is calculated. Every trade, he's never just panicking. Even when he's in some rough spots, he waits for that right moment. He's never putting himself in a position where it's unfavorable. He just waits for the right moment, or does something that just makes sense. Everything is planned. Like, he took TP in that rough matchup, was able to mitigate the damage. He was able to mitigate the damage in that second VOD by playing off the bounce wave and waiting for Leblanc to W. Like, everything seems calculated. Like, he knows these matchups so incredibly well. I felt like he was very decisive on which wave he wanted to base on. Like, there was never a moment where it's like, oh no, the wave's screwed, he can't base, or oh, it's frozen, oh no, or he needs to base, but like the wave's in this spot. Like, no, it felt like he knew, he rationed out his mana appropriately. He always knew which wave he wanted to base on. It felt very calculated in that sense. And he never failed roams. Yes, he didn't roam as much as Doinby, like maybe that's just his style, but when he did roam, because maybe he understood all the variables at play, he was able to make those roams successful, and he executed them extremely well. And one thing I noticed is that he was never afraid to use flash. If the flash guaranteed a kill, he would use flash. That is actually a big takeaway for me personally, because I hold on to flash way too much. And he never gave the enemy jungler an opportunity or window. In that second VOD, he traded aggressively when Nocturne was not 6. And as soon as Nocturne hit 6, he started to tame back his aggression, waited for Nocturne to use ult somewhere else, or fail an ult, or see Nocturne somewhere, and then he traded aggressively. He was very, very clear on where the jungler was, what the level of kill threat was on the enemy jungler. He was never really giving the enemy jungler any window. Now, negatives. I don't feel like he used DMAT too efficiently in the first game. Whether it was because of a mistake or not, I don't know. But the one DMAT on the range creep didn't really make too much sense to me. I wasn't really too pleased with his warding locations. I feel like they were a little bit lazy. I think some of them were just in that side bush that didn't make too much sense to me. Yes, he did buy a lot of pink wards, which is a very good sign. I was very happy with that. I feel like there were just a few times where he could have warded over the ramp and just spent a little bit more energy, a little bit more time putting out decent wards. And I wasn't really too impressed with the mid game on the Qiyana game. I felt like he kind of autopiloted or for some reason. And when he went to that side wave when the Rift Herald was up, I'm thinking, I don't think this is the play, man. I think you should just group, force the Rift Herald fight, get that Rift Herald as a team, and then you can start just Rift mid and boom the game. I feel like there was no real reason for him to go to the side lane, especially since he didn't have TP either. I think it was a little bit greedy. So that was, I know I'm just nitpicking here because he really did play quite perfectly. But yeah, that was for me the only real negative. So that's it from me, guys. Maybe this was just the way I interpreted his gameplay. Maybe you guys see a completely different way of ShowMaker that I don't see. That's completely fine. That's just what I took from it. Hopefully you guys learned a little bit. Even if you could take one thing away from ShowMaker's gameplay, that's going to be, you know, amazing. Because again, 1% improvement every single day, guys. As long as you can get that 1% in, that's all you really need. Thanks for watching, guys. And let me know what other players you want me to review. Cheers.